do not violate that provision in the bidding guidelines by ERC. Yes, please enlighten me on this.
Mr. Chair, I have to revert to the concession agreement on this. The section I was referring to, yes, that's correct. Yusek Garin is correct that there is a limit to that, but that doesn't mean that transactions above 1 million are prohibited. Second, Mr. Chair, there's a specific definition to what they call a related party. And I have to double check as regards whether this definition includes NARI, because a quick surface reading of it, in my opinion, sir, again, we have to double check.
Wala pa naman po batas, lahat po naman opinion ito lahat
Opo,
sa
hindi
atin.
po kasi siya mukhang sakop ng definition ng related party ang NARI.
Okay.
So NARI is too far from NGCP itself to be considered a related party. So technically, it's too far to pose a conflict of interest.
So ganito na lang po, Mr. Chair, Attorney. Maybe later on, I would require certain documents to be submitted to this committee. And then ibabangga na lang po namin doon sa sinasabi po ng ERC. Again, sabi ko nga, we are not here to find faults. We are just here to maintain that good business still exists in the country without sacrificing an iota of maybe probably surrendering our national security interest. Yes, do you have any follow-up?
I mentioned earlier that we do have a vetting process, and I confirmed already that we do have a vetting process for both financial and technical track record for evaluation. And as regards the blacklisting, once they are blacklisted anywhere, they are not accredited. So if there were any transactions with blacklisted companies, these may have been accredited prior to the blacklisting.
Yeah.
But again, we will confirm the timing because again, we don't accredit or allow suppliers that have been blacklisted.
But I will, Mr. Chair, thank you, Attorney, for that. And thank you for at least toning down my apprehension. But I will give you the list of those companies connected with China that have ongoing projects awarded to them by the NGCP. Kanina, nasite ko po yung may pong company po dyan, na blacklisted po siya sa ADB, blacklisted po sa ano. But if I take your response correctly, sana hindi na nangyari yun, sana hindi na award. But unfortunately, I think ongoing pa itong mga projects na to. So I think you have to do, I'm sorry, but I have to say this, to be particular, such as China, which is adversarial in so many other areas with the Philippines. Tama nga, sabi ni Congressman Congresswoman Luistro. So I think you have to at least raise the bar of your appreciation when it comes to foreign companies doing business here in the country. Because that would leave you at the entail of all the blames, NGCP, and we do not want to see Filipinos getting all the punches and the blames simply because you are too comfortable and too confident that because they're doing business here, ay wala na silang other interest. Remember, there's no such thing as private companies operating in China. All the state companies, especially those who are doing business outside of China, are owned by the Chinese Politburo, Chinese Communist Party. So, yun lang po, Mr. Chair, yung kung where we are all coming from. So, I guess, do you have a response to that? Would that be a fair assessment?
Mr. Chair, we completely understand where this committee is coming from, and we do undertake to review our processes and tighten what needs to be tightened. And that is a commitment consistent with our mandate as a public service utility, and as well I speak, I think, for the Filipino shareholders, that is something we will commit to do.
Kasi I believe that all of us have our own similar interest, and that is to protect our national sovereignty. Ma'am Yusek, what do you think of my assessment? Is it fair? Is it too patriotic? Is it too conservative? I'd like to get, Mr. Chair, the position of the DOE that if we are to do business, I'm not just talking about NGCP, but any businesses na nag-open ng equity, share, foreign equity, dapat ba ang pinaka-interest ng board ay hindi payagan na mapalagay ang ating bansa sa yung delikado or kapahamakan. Tama ho ba yun?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The fact that everything's legal in that sense, that it follows all the legal requirements. There is also the supreme power of the legislature and the executive and the president, that in cases of threat to national security, or that they can exercise such powers that they have. So kaya nga thank you for the deliberation today. Kasi Mr. Chair, this is the powers and the authority granted to NGCP was granted by Congress, and it's if there is anything violated there or not complied with, it is beyond the powers of the executive as of now. Kasi if you wonder why has there been no thorough regulation on the part of DOE, for example, Mr. Chair, we are limited by what was mandated to us by the franchise, by Congress. So I think that part maybe has been missed when the franchise was enacted, and in considering what is happening now, not only on the NGCP side, but the political and I think it is also a vital concern. Kasi po, there are laws that we have considered. We have to consider. Now we have Public Service Act, foreign investment. These are strategic investments, and we have declared in those laws that it should be nationalized companies. Now, if there are questions, there are ways to implement that legally, but still the threat to us is there, then I think Congress can properly act on it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that response. And maybe can I just a request for 30 seconds or maybe a minute of manifestation, Mr. Chair.
Please.
I know my time is up. Mr. Chair, it pains us to see Attorney Paul Sagayo, Mr. Rico Vega, of course my fraternity attorney, at the opposite side of the table. Tingnan mo, tayo mga Pilipino tayo yung nagbabangayan, but all the foreign, mga Chinese, wala sila dito. I mean, this speaks a lot in brief, na pagdating sa sisihan, tayo mga Pilipino ang nagtuturuan. Kaya nga po, hindi nyo kami, sa aking palagay, this committee cannot be faulted na medyo apprehensive kami ngayon. Medyo takot kami ngayon. Kasi pagdating sa pagsisisihan, kayong pinapaupo dito. Tapos itong mga Chinese ay mag-celebrate sila ng Chinese New Year. Mag-celebrate naman tayo ng Chinese New Year in deference to our Filipino-Chinese community here. But what I'm talking about is if we discuss about business, and when it comes to business, I would say I'm liberal. Gusto ko actively mag-participate ang ating bansa sa pag-usbong ng ating ekonomiya. But not at the expense of national security. Because I tell you, and this is based on my personal experience, threat could be actual, could be real, it could be imminent, and there's a potential threat. Believe me, 5 months kami nakipagbarilan sa Marawi. At ang pumasok ay mga foreign fighters. Nung una, ayaw namin maniwala. But when it happened, we were caught unsurprised. Flat-footed. I don't want NGCP, to some extent, our energy sector, to be caught unprepared and flat-footed. Kaya nga po, ang constitution natin ay paranoid pagdating sa pag-open ng negosyo na ang gagamitin ay ating natural resources and national assets. Hindi ho ba? So please, do some cleaning up internally. Mr. Chair, for my last manifestation, I would like to request NGCP to submit to us the guidelines on how they do procurement and bidding processes. I would also, I have the privilege, Mr. Chair, to move for a subpoena do sistecum, but I believe all our Filipino brothers and sisters who sits in the NGCP are patriotic, so